We have been together for almost 17 years, we have 3 children, and for the past 2 years we have been working on restoring our old house. She is the most important person in my life and we have faced countless challenges together. I always thought we were one of the few couples that could weather any storm. Unfortunately, my assumptions seem to be wrong. Financial struggles and health issues only added to our troubles. I found solace in computer games as an escape from our problems while she stayed addicted to her cell phone. I was hoping to give her some space to vent so she'd be in a better mood when she got home, but unfortunately, that strategy didn't work at all. I wasn't entirely convinced, but I also didn't want to push her too hard because I wanted to show her that I trusted her. However, as the summer wore on, I noticed that she became more and more cautious and secretive about her cell phone. I witnessed the undeniable fact that she did make out with a man in a drunken stupor with impunity until her friend intervened, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. It all started on Instagram when a random man named 8 started sending her flattering messages, and from there they started chatting on Skype in early June, and shockingly after just a few weeks of chatting, she gave in and started sharing photos with him, albeit with some resistance at first. At the same time, she also started chatting with Guy B, also via Instagram. It didn't take long for their chats to escalate into exchanging photos and having explicit conversations. Strangely, she never said anything bad about me or anything like that, but used me as a backdrop, and if they asked she would say I was nice to her, but then she would say she enjoyed chatting with them and they made her feel good. I knew that my wife's friend suffered from panic attacks and needed an overnight stay at the local hospital, but what I didn't know was that during that chat I found out that she brought up a 41-year-old man in our town and told us to refer to him as C. According to what my wife told her friend, she managed to stop him. She didn't mention him by name, but considering our town, I had strong suspicions about his identity. I began to fear the worst. I didn't disclose to my wife what I had found out because I was concerned about the potential repercussions for our children, so I acted as if nothing had happened and waited until Saturday, August 24th, to confront her. When she returned home from class, I calmly asked her to sit with me and then began to share with her what I had learned. There was no yelling or name-calling in our conversation, just 2 grieving people, one angry and one hurt, having a frank discussion all night. She didn't accuse me directly or yell at me for snooping around. Instead, she told me that she thought I had lost interest in her because she hadn't lost weight, and when the men were raving about her she admitted that she was swept away by their attention. She admitted that she now realized that she had been cheating on me, and even though she didn't fully realize it at the time, she had committed those acts even though she knew they were wrong. We decided to work on repairing our relationship and sought counseling. A few weeks went by and things seemed to be getting better. She has been showing more affection for me lately, we are doing well in bed and we are spending a lot more time together than we used to. Last week, during our second session with the marriage counselor, she finally confessed the truth, something I had always suspected and feared but desperately wished hadn't happened. She admitted that she did have sex with C that night in July, and despite the remorse and shame she claims to have felt afterward, she continued to connect with him via social media. To add insult to injury, just a few days after our confrontation in August, she tried to contact him again, and when she confessed, my initial reaction was one of complete shock. She finally admitted my suspicions, which was a relief, but at the same time I felt more humiliated and hurt than ever. I didn't want to make any hasty decisions, so I didn't throw the ring in her face or confront the other man. It wasn't him who broke our marriage vows, it was my wife. I didn't know what to believe anymore. The woman I thought I knew would never do such a thing. She kept trying to convince me that her actions were stupid and selfish. She expressed remorse for the pain she caused me. She insisted that she was willing to do anything to fix the situation, to regain my trust and to prove that honestly, I wasn't sure if I could ever trust her or see her in the same light. I want to make this right, mostly for the sake of our children and our difficult financial situation. Divorce is more than we can handle right now, but I'm afraid that if this continues, I'll lose my sense of self and never regain my self-esteem. After getting enough encouragement, I mustered up some self, so I decided to tell her that I wanted to end the marriage. I think she expected it because she didn't seem surprised and didn't even try to change my mind or do anything about it. She kept repeating that nothing I said would make a difference, and she shed a lot of tears and even called in sick. Since then, we have been informing our closest friends and family of our impending divorce, but she has been very hesitant to admit her behavior to her own parents. Maybe I'm afraid of conflict between my soon-to-be ex-wife and myself, but with school out, we've had to leave our 2 kids with them for 3 days, so I don't feel like it's the right time to come clean about their daughter's multiple affairs. This is really hard for me to talk about as they seem so disappointed. They've been part of my family for nearly 17 years and I really care about them, and they have been extremely supportive over the years, both financially and in their love for our children. Soon-to-be ex, I also don't want the real reasons behind the divorce to become public. We live in a small community and I'm worried that the truth will eventually reach my children's ears and they may be teased or bullied for it. On the custody issue, we had agreed that I would take the kids for a week and their mother would take them for a week. Considering what she had done, I had no idea how things would end up, but in my experience, mothers tend to have the upper hand in situations like this and people always sympathize with them. Nevertheless, I was determined to fight for my kids. We dated almost from the start, and when the kids were 3 months old, she moved in with me. I knew deep down that I wanted to be with her and raise our family together. However, our behavior and demeanor was not supportive of each other, which is common in toxic relationships. After another 2 years, we welcomed another baby girl, and during all of these pregnancies, she should have used birth control, but she didn't, and she lied about a lot of things. But despite this, she always made questionable decisions. We started to have problems and it felt like we were stuck in a repetitive cycle. She was becoming less and less affectionate and distant. As I was cuddling with her, she suddenly dropped a bombshell. She claimed she had given too much to me and the kids. I was shocked and demanded clarification from her. I began to question myself. What did I do wrong and how did I mess things up? She quickly backtracked and put the blame on herself, saying she needed to fix herself to be better for our family. So I resolved to try and change myself for the better for both of us. I wanted to be a better husband, lover and father, but what I didn't know was that she had reconnected with an old friend from years ago and they were once again becoming close. Yes, you guessed it, this friend was a guy and he came to visit us and meet our kids. Then about a month later we bought another van and she wrecked that one too, and again it was her fault. Over time she managed to reconnect with her daughter, who she had lost contact with in a previous marriage. Her ex-husband set conditions for her to seek help and counseling, but guess what? She never followed through on those conditions as she began to communicate with her child, which also led to more frequent conversations with her ex-husband. Emotions resurfaced, and things became quite complicated, and at the same time, I found myself in the challenging position of trying to support her in her desire to visit her child, whom she hadn't seen in 17 years. She had not seen her children for 17 years. To fund her trip, she started a GoFundMe campaign and managed to raise $1,300. When I found out, she was visiting her children in another state, supposedly alone, but it turns out she wasn't alone at all. She also brought her new boyfriend, who I had always thought was just an old friend of mine, and to make matters worse, they were having intimate relations in my own house, in my own bed. Wait a minute. What about the baby? So she left the kids, she left all her possessions, she simply abandoned everything, and worse, she accused me of being a narcissist and hurting her emotionally. He took the opportunity to divulge all the details of their secretive year-long affair and even provided me with incriminating photos. Now she lives in another state with her ex-husband and the children she abandoned 17 years ago, and we managed to work out a paternity agreement, but I insisted on a psychological evaluation. One of the kids even said Mom chose her new family over us, and another asked why she took other kids to school and not her own, which really stung. So I became a single dad raising 4 kids on my own. Even though I trusted her to handle it all, I ended up doing it myself, and there were even times when I got them ready and went to work, only to find out later that she'd fallen asleep again and the kids ended up being late for school. I honestly think she's just an unreliable person, and to make matters worse, she slept under the same roof as the 3 of us for over a month, and to make matters worse, she purposely infected me with hepatitis C. Not only did she abandon her own children 17 years ago, but she also made the same mistake later in her life by neglecting the 4 children we share.